Day, as they say in Australia, and we're very honored to welcome Mr. Muller in our country, Bahrain, and we feel it is a good opportunity for him to come and talk a little bit about the institute. He's been a co-founder of the institute, and he's been very much like running a lot of advices to organizations on project management. In his career, he was in 2000, he was engaged in Australian innovation as well, and he had like the bachelor or the PhD kind of research opportunity, as well as he extended his postgraduate into the international sports management, and law as well. Besides, he is also a publisher. He is also a keynote speaker in international events and conferences. And he also has got a lot of interest in challenging the institute assumptions and improving the quality of their business. So he's also very much excited in inspiring the new generations like you, the next generation people, to be creative and to be critical thinkers. So we are very much happy to see Paul with us and take this opportunity for 1 hour time to learn a lot from his experience, as well as I'd like you also to somehow take this opportunity between yourself. That's why we'll put you on tables, separate tables, so that when he's talking, I'll be asking him a lot of questions. I created a lot of questions for him, but hopefully with the time limit, we'll be able to somehow limit them, so to give you the opportunity for you to think whenever he's talking about a question, and think about it between a group of you to somehow present it to him at the end of his presentation. Like this, at least we will be able to share the knowledge, and he also is very much interested to learn more from you about how you see your career going on into the project management, especially now you've done the first kind of steps, or you maybe also in your university, you also been encountered to project management, but those courses that we have done here at the Society of Engineers is supposed to be lifting you up to learn more about how to practice project management. And I really welcome you, Mr. Paul, to be with us. Please just now introduce the institute to us, and what are the strategy you think as a co-founder of it. Thank you.
Thank you both, and thank you all for welcoming me here today. I apologise, I will be speaking in English. My Arabic is terrible, so thank you for allowing me to do that. So the Institute was founded back in 2007, I think it was. We actually originally founded as a general, we were a private college originally, and taught a whole range of subjects from retail, hospitality, business, those sort of things. And it quickly became obvious to us that project management was something a lot of people were asking for. And it was actually a trip to this region. We came to the Emirates. This is my first trip to Bahrain, and I'm very privileged to be here. But I came to the Emirates, went to Saudi, and also went to India on that trip. And a lot of people were saying there's nothing to teach project management, but we're really interested in it. So we sort of changed the focus and changed the direction of the business, and realised back then, and even now, even universities weren't teaching it particularly well. They were teaching a very textbook, academic sort of project management, but we were talking to people who live and breathe and practice project management, who were hiring people like you and saying, we need these people to understand how projects actually work and not just how textbooks tell them. So Yeah, we repurposed the Institute in about 2009 to focus on project management, which is a broad, incredibly broad discipline. It obviously covers the different strands of engineering and technology, but we also work a lot with people in the community services sector, in the not-for-profit sector, you know, charities and organisations. We work with health, we work with defence, we work with a whole range of industries and sectors you don't normally think of as being project management, and just skilling people, giving them the tools to just be better at their jobs.
Very nice. Yes, very nice. We, as you know, the Institute now is engaged into giving professional certification to people who are graduates or people who are already working. So there's a certificate called the CPO, Certified Project Officer, and this is a good start for anyone who is interested to become a project manager. This one will give them the experience and the confidence to be able to move forward to the ladder of next kind of levels like CPD, Certified Project Manager, professional. So a lot of levels. So please just give us some highlight about the type of certification you offer at the Institute.
Yeah, so the basic level, the starting level is Certified Project Officer, which is doesn't require any experience as long as you understand and speak the language of project management, which you generally learn through a course. That means you can enter the field as a Certified Project Officer, and that tells your employer that you're ready to manage projects. I was teaching a course in Kansas in the USA a few years ago before COVID, and one of the students said, I have to leave to take a job interview in the middle of the course. And I was like, yeah, of course, you know, go, good luck. And he came back and, you know, was asking how did the course go? How did the interview go, and, you know, were you successful? And he said, it was going, you know, like a normal interview, and then I said I was doing this Certified Project Officer course, and the interviewer suddenly got excited and said, okay, oh wow. And I was like, well, that's great. What was the job for? And it was for a marketing analyst. So something you wouldn't think of as project management, but if you can show any employer in any industry that you have project certification, what it says to the employer is, I can give this person a task or a job, I can give them direction, I can give them a deadline, I can give them resources or a budget, and I know that that job will get done. And employers love that confidence. Universities don't teach that skill, but that's what project management is. And as you move through your career, you can go to professional, master, and even director. So a professional sort of manages projects, a master manages project teams, and a director manages project managers. So there's now, and 10, 15 years ago, there wasn't a career in project management, but now there are career paths and there's certifications that can take you on that journey too.
And then after going through the CPO and gaining the certificate, there is another type of certification that we can somehow highlight, if you like, to our audiences, please.
Yeah, so the Certified Project Professional is the next level up, which is for people managing projects, and then the Master and the Director. But yeah, I'm not here to sell things. Let's tell some project stories, shall we?
Yes, okay. All right. Yes, this is a good introductionary. Okay, let's now move into the real project management life. How do you manage project team underperformance? So let us now take some scenarios. I would like to ask Paul, is that if he is a project manager and he found that his team is not performing well, how is he going to tackle that and manage it?
Cool. This is one of the spaces where project management is different to general management or operations management. Because when you're a project manager, you're quite often not the person's normal boss. So they've come to you to work on the project, but you can't fire them. So you can't yell at them or get mad the way you might with someone who's not working well in another scenario. So typically, if someone or the team is not performing well in a project, it's probably your fault. And what you need to do in those circumstances is often, so you guys have studied, ladies have studied project management, you need to break down the work a bit further, explain it in smaller detail, and then guide them and show them and build them back up to get them where they need to be. This will probably be a theme because I talk about it all the time, but communication is key to project management. And if you get better at communicating with your team, better at supporting them, then their performance will manage. No one goes to work trying to do a bad job. Everyone comes to work wanting to do their best and starts a new project, starts a new job wanting to do the best they can. So as a project leader, if they're not able to do that, it's your job to help them, to help them understand their job better, help them understand how it fits in to everyone else's job, and give them the tools they need, the resources they need to do better.
Okay, very good. Now please just give us some highlights on the reasons why projects fails. Because that's very important for us. If we can understand why a project fails, we can avoid them failing. And I think we covered this in our previous sessions, teaching sessions. So hopefully we'll learn more from Paul.
I said in my last answer, I'm going to talk about communication a lot. But yeah, the reason projects fail or don't do as well as they could is you might be yourself communicating very well with everyone in the team, but are they communicating well with each other? And more importantly, are they communicating with the other stakeholders outside the team? And does everyone understand what's going on and what you're doing it and why you're doing it? Probably the thing that's done worst in project management is the initiation, the start of a project, where we take that good idea and turn it into a project, because that's our chance to get everyone on the same page, agreeing with what we're doing and heading in the right direction. If your stakeholders don't agree what you're doing and they don't understand what you're doing, they're going to ask lots of questions and they're going to get annoyed, and that's when projects start to break down and that's when they start to fail. So getting things right before you start is more important than what you do when you're delivering the project.
Very nice. So if you are interviewing now a project manager, which we are going to be faced sometimes in our lifetime, is that somebody interviewing you for a job and they will be asking some key questions related to project management. So when you are interviewing a potentially project manager, what are the key questions that you see fitting into your interview?
So when I'm looking for a project manager or when I'm looking for a new employee generally, I know that they don't know my business as well as I do. I know that they don't understand, that they don't fully have the skills yet to do the job to our standards. What I'm looking for is not someone who says, I know this, I know that, I know that. I'm actually looking for someone who shows me through their stories or their experience that they're capable of learning. So instead of, the fact, if you're going for a job at an engineering firm, for example, the fact that you've got an engineering degree, all that did was get you to the interview. So anyone who doesn't have an engineering degree, we're not going to talk to. But they know that you don't know engineering as well as they do yet. What they're looking for is someone who is willing to learn and willing to study, or maybe not study further, but learn on the job and listen to the people they work with And it's okay to make mistakes as long as you learn from them. So willingness to learn, I think, is key.
Very nice. So in your career as a project manager, what do you think is the greatest achievement you have gained in your career, project management career?
I often tell this story because I think it's a great story. I was working in the USA on a secret Navy base with teaching a bunch of Navy SEALs how to do project management. And when I was teaching these, top warriors, I was thinking, well, they know everything. I'm not going to be able to teach them. And they were like, no, this is awesome. Like, there's processes, there's ways of doing things that we hadn't thought about before. And I was like, that's cool. That was very rewarding. But then I jumped on a plane. It took me about 30 hours to get from that course to back to Tasmania in Australia. It's a little island at the south, right at the bottom of Australia. There's nothing between it and Antarctica. And this was a project that some of our other team had been leading, and it was all about Aboriginal healing. And it was a women's group who were doing Aboriginal healing, and they were walking down to the water and singing to bring the whales back to the coast. And it really struck me in that moment that I'd gone from this room of people, professional soldiers, to these women who were connected to the land and country in ways I didn't understand. But project management was just as relevant and equally, important for them to deliver what they wanted to do, the change they wanted to see in the world.
Very nice. In your career as project manager, I'm sure that you came across so many obstacles and call it missteps and did something wrong or something right. We usually call it the lessons learned kind of conditions. So if you can tell us more about, or give us a story that you have somehow came across, which you feel that you should never repeat that again in your career.
I'll tell you all a secret. Me personally, I'm actually not a very good project manager. I'm good at fixing other people's projects, but you probably don't want to see how we manage projects at the Institute of Project Management, because we make a lot of mistakes all the time. We're building a new website at the moment. It was due to go live in September last year, and we're still fiddling with it because the mistake we made is the one I spoke about before. We weren't clear with each other up front and got everyone in agreement on what we're doing. So as it's come out in various stages, we've gone, oh no, that's not right, and then we've had to go back and fix things, and oh, we forgot to account for this, and had to fix things. So I make mistakes all the time with project management, to the point now where our general manager comes to me and says, it's okay, Paul, we've got it. I'm on a world trip at the moment. I'm away for 3 weeks. Tomorrow I go to Helsinki in Finland, and I'm off to Texas on the way home. And the staff, I think, were really happy to have me out of the office for 3 weeks, so they can get their projects done without me helping. So, yeah, I think one of the things you need to be aware of, and one of the things I've learned, or I'm still learning perhaps, is to get out of the way, is to trust your people. If they've got the skills and they've got the experience, sometimes the best thing you can do is not manage them and let them manage themselves.
Yes, okay. This takes me to another important question, the difference between being a project manager and a project leader, which I feel that you are in the category of a project leader more than a project manager. And the leader is always has got different vision and strategy that wanted to take it beyond the horizon of being a project manager. So I think if you can give us a highlight of the difference between being a project manager and project leader, and how did you practice it in your organization?
Probably a really good example of that. I was in Dubai last week, and I was speaking to quite a few different people about the projects that they've been delivering. Was speaking to DP Ports, the Road Transport Authority, was speaking to the project manager in charge of the Museum of the Future, which is a really interesting project they've got going on there. I also spoke to the he was the Chief Executive Officer of the Football World Cup, Qatar, just recently. And one of the things that really impressed me about, especially what they're doing and how they're doing it in Dubai, and I see a very similar thing in my short time here in Bahrain, is the way the government works, especially the King works in the Emirates, it says, this is my idea, you go make that happen. And actually the really interesting one was the project leader for the Mars mission that they successfully completed last year. And he was like, you know, the King, like in the week before, or the day before the lander landed on Mars, half the ministers in the government came into the launch room, the mission control room, and basically they were saying, you've already succeeded. If it doesn't land, if it doesn't, if it doesn't perfectly land and we get the data back and everything, that's okay. You've succeeded incredibly to get here, and what happens next? I love the Arabic phrase, inshallah. Like, that's God's will, that will happen for us. So I think as a leader, it's important, one, like I said before, you get out of the way of your team. But secondly, that you celebrate the successes they have along the way, not just the success at the end. And that you're constantly cheering for your team and bringing them along and motivating them and inspiring them and picking them up when they fall over.
Very nice, yes. If somebody say to you, inshallah, it depends on how he's saying it or she's saying it. If you say, inshallah, means he's really willing to do it, but if you say inshallah, it means you wait for it. Okay.
I'll that.
Depends on the tone. Okay. So if someone was stepping into the project leadership for the first time, which I can assume that somebody just immediately been given a job as a project manager, and then suddenly he can't see himself like putting the hat of a leadership. So can you give us what are the 3 key pieces of advices that you like to give them being first-time project leaders? Let us see how we can react to that.
So who here is a first-time project leader? Yeah, some of you? Yeah. Who here is a parent? Who has kids? Any of you have kids? Yeah, a few of you? You're already very well trained as project managers. Like raising kids is a project, and it's a really difficult one. But the 3 things, well, there's so many things, but probably 3 things. You need to be a creative thinker. So you need to be able to think of different ways to solve problems, because you will face problems, and that's basically the project manager's main job, to solve problems, to make decisions. So you need to be a creative thinker. You need to see a problem, and instead of just saying, oh, well, I'm going to do this, you need to think of a whole heap of different ways that it might be done, or find that from others, and then you need to be a critical thinker. And by critical thinker, what I mean is you need to pick from all the options the best one for your project. It's not going to be the best one every single time, necessarily, but what's the best one for your project? So to be a creative thinker and to be a critical thinker. And the third thing I'd say is you need to listen. You need to listen more than you talk as a project manager. I'm doing a lot of talking here, I'm not being a good example. But they say you have 2 ears for listening and 1 mouth for talking, so use them in that proportion. listen more than you talk, and it will absolutely make you a better project manager.
That's very wise advice. Okay, so now if we can take the steps of becoming good in leadership, there will be some advice, I'm sure, from you to give us on what are the things to avoid being like a leader, or like you want to improve, you feel that there is a weakness in yourself. Let's talk about yourself so that at least you can show the others how they can improve this to them.
Yeah, I'm always working, like trying to think about what can I do better, and not just what can I do better, but how can I be a better leader, how can I be a better person in some ways too. And if I ever run out of good ideas as to how I can improve myself, my wife has plenty of suggestions, so she's very good at giving me feedback. But one of the things I need to work on is listening. Sometimes, especially as the leader of the organisation, people wait for you to speak, and then as soon as you speak, they run off and do what you say. So I need to get better at being the last person to speak, not the first person to speak. So sometimes I say, this is the problem, this is what I think the solution is, what do you think? And everyone says, yeah, let's do that. It's like, okay. But if I say, this is the problem, what do you think the solution is, then I get some really good ideas, and then we can come together and come up with the best one. So that's the one. That's one big thing I'm trying to work on in myself. And the other one, which is related and to what I spoke about before, is just to trust people. So the Institute of Project Management, it's my baby, and you know, I'm very, very protective of it. And you know, if someone challenges that idea sometimes, says, you know, I don't like what you're doing, or whatever, I feel defensive. I want to push back. Just this morning, I was catching up with the team in Australia this morning, and an email had come in from a student, which was, I don't want to do this course anymore. My boss made me do it. I don't think it's right for me. I really don't like it. And the staff were like, how do we respond to this? And you know, previously we would have been just like, okay, see you later. But it was like, well, no, let's go back and actually understand better how we've let the student down. And if, if there's things we can learn from it, the student might not want to talk to us, and that's okay too. But yeah, we're always looking to improve what we do, how we do it, and coming back to what I said before, how we communicate.
Yes, like mentoring. No, yes. Okay, maybe one or two more questions, and we finish. Hopefully, you have got some questions in your mind to ask Mr. Paul after he finishes. Now, I know that from your CV that you are very much like carrying two hats at the moment. One is to be developing the professionals into project management, giving them certifications, you know, from the industry, to be a little bit diverting away from the university and the schools kind of environment. But at the same time, I feel that you are also, because it is in your blood, you wanted to develop the institute into a kind of another type of organization. Please tell us more about your future thoughts, how to develop your business.
I love a good project, and I'm always looking for new and exciting projects. So one of the things we're working on at the moment is we're founding a university in the United States which will primarily focus on project management at the master's degree level. So that's a really interesting challenge, because for so many years I've been against academics. I started teaching at universities and when, well, the universities are doing this terribly, so I'm going to set up our own way of doing it, and now I'm coming back and setting up a university. So the challenge with that is to meet academic standards, which are very important, but also do it in a way that is true to what's happening in the real world, but also fun and interesting for students. So we don't just want lectures all the time, and we don't just want exams all the time. We want creative ways to engage, place them in industry, in internships and roles.
Can you just explain briefly, if somebody is mixed or confused whether they go for professional certification like CPO or going for a master, let's say, degree. Now from your encounter with both kind of projects, can you tell us why somebody would decide to go for a professional certification or a master certification in his career?
Yeah, professional certification is, so the main difference between the two is professional certification is much more interested in your experience and skills, and they look at that, or a good certification does that. A master's qualification really gives you a whole heap of knowledge and more knowledge than a huge amount of knowledge. So I always suggest that people start with certification, and if this is interesting to you and you want to learn more and you want to go into more detail, that's when you should look at, and you want to make a career in this space, then that's when you should go into the master's degree or a qualification. But one thing I'll add, and again this sort of goes against our purpose as a business, they say only, in terms of learning, the way people learn, only 10% of your learning can and come from book learning, from courses and master's degree and things like that. And then when we develop a master's degree, we want to fill that 10%. But the next 20% of your learning comes from social interaction. So, whether that's participating in community group, chat groups, or, going to conferences or talking to other people about, projects and how they work. And the other 70% of learning comes from doing. So it comes from experience. So trying, succeeding, failing a little bit, learning and growing that way. So most of your learning comes from experience, 70% of the learning. They've done the science on this. So you can't, having the knowledge, the foundational knowledge is really important because that gives you a place to go, but that's not the only place you can and should learn. And if you don't have projects through work, look for projects in the community that you can contribute to as a volunteer or as as a family member. Plan your cousin's wedding. That's a project. Yeah.
Yes, I think we are very much into the end of our questions, which I'm very sorry that I gave you those hard questions. Can you, one of you, tell us, after you've gone through the project management and some other type of training models in at the society, what kind of business you feel yourself can be good for you to develop as a private business, or all of you looking for employment? Is there anyone who has started to become like an entrepreneur thinking? No one? I remember one girl was telling me she wanted to do her own business.
If you want to ask a question in Arabic as well, that's okay. Someone can translate it for me, or I'll just make up an answer. It's fine.
During the training, she was very kind of pragmatic.
She was the noisy one. Yeah.
But she was the pragmatic, the most pragmatic trainee I came across, because she liked to be flexible with her own decision making and opinions, and say تقول خلي ولي ما علي اوكي يعني مش حاضر
So that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's something that she cannot really like to be stuck with it. She likes to be flexible and can do things.
And I think that's a really good point. You know, you need to understand it as a project leader. People need to understand why you've made a decision, not just what your decision is. And when new people join our team, we have a rule that the first 3 months we want you to look at the business with fresh eyes. So once we've been there 3 months, 6 months, 6 years, whatever, you see things the same way and you don't notice the little things that are wrong. So when someone comes new to the business, we actually want them, even if they're very junior, we want them to challenge us and say, why do we do it this way? Or this doesn't work, maybe we could do it this way. So those people who are, you know, who can politely and respectfully challenge what we do are actually really valuable. Now, not every business works like that. Government doesn't work like that very often. But yeah, it's really useful.
Okay, so if there are no questions, probably we can end unless Mr. Nabil has got anything to add.
The majority of the engineers here, they are architects and civil engineers. Some of them, they are interior design. Some of them, I think, instrumentation. Electronic, also there is 2 or 1, 2 or other. So, is the project management course, this professional qualification, suitable for all these? For example, the lady behind there, she is interior design.
I can tell, she's the best dressed one here.
Yeah, the best dress, yeah. And also there is Mr. I think Mr. Hussein. Mr. Hussein, what is your
Mechatronics engineer.
Huh?
Mechatronics engineer.
Mechatronics.
Yeah. So, is it suitable for them, all of them, to join the project management course professional qualification? How it will help them in their career professional progression?
Our biggest client as an organisation is the US Department of Defence, so Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard and Space Force. So where we work with them, we do a lot of training in service, so if you want to get promoted in certain fields, you must do our project management course, so like Special Forces Warrant Officer course, Special Forces Captain course, you need to do our project management course. But our main clients are people, they call it transitioning from the military. So people do 20 years on a contract, 20 years of service in the Army or Navy or something. But so by the time they're 40, they leave, they've had very successful careers, but they've still got 20 or 30 working years ahead of them. So where we teach project management is to basically look at the experience they've got and help them use that to transfer into other industries. And that's what project management's really powerful. It won't improve your ability, it won't improve your technical knowledge of mechatronics or interior design or architecture. It's not meant to. What it's meant to do is to make the way you work more efficient and better, and the way you communicate with others more efficient and better. And those are universal skills that can apply to anything and any industry. So recently we did some training on project management with some female entrepreneurs in Kenya, and they were setting up little agricultural businesses or transport businesses. And we didn't teach them a different version of project management to the version of project management we teach. We actually took a group through in Iran recently, and that was a group of engineers as well. And that's not different to the version we teach, people who work for local government in Australia, people who do parking tickets for people. So it's the same project management that we teach. What people then do is apply that to their technical expertise, which might be mechatronics, interior design, architecture, mechanical engineering, civil, whatever that looks like, and it makes them better. And then if by the time they get to 30 or 40 or even 50 and say, you know what, I'm bored with this, I want to do something else, they've got the valuable project management skills that they can transfer to another industry or another sector, or to raising their kids, because that's useful too.
Yes. If I can add to Mr. Paul, you know, the project management is a skill of life. No matter what discipline you are in, somehow in your career, in your time, you will need to manage a project. And we give a lot of examples on this. So if you are skillful in project management, you'll find yourself in a great demand by the industry. So professional certification, I feel, is your next step to think about it. Now you're a graduate, you're engineers, think about it, and the CPO program is the most relevant one because it mixes all the methodologies in the world into one platform, so that you can be aware of what are those methodologies that we as engineers can talk about or experience, and we'll be happy to take anyone who is interested into CPO project professional officer to be working with us. So remember, CPO means Certified Project Officer. Means that you can be working as assistant or as leading small projects, but hopefully when you get more experience and you go to the CPP level, Certified Project Professional, it will be like equivalent to a PMP certification. So think about it, and I think it's the end of our knowledge journey with Mr. Paul, and I'd like to present you with, as a grateful gratitude to your time, I would like to give you a gift, as a personal gift. I wrote this book in the year 2000. It's called Learning Success from Football, and it would be nice for memory to take with you to Australia. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.